G-Roll Electronic Productions, baby.
Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. Let's go over some headlines. I'll go as long as I can today, at least 30 minutes. We'll see how much news we can get through. As always, we start off with the Gateway Pundit. Capitol Police arrest Democrat Congresswoman for storming Hart Senate building, chanting "End the filibuster." Wow. I bet you they don't call this an insurrection. Not Gateway Pundit, I mean the mainstream media. Gateway Pundit do though, of course. They call it an insurrection. I bet you nothing's going to happen with her. She's not going to get any charges. Look, Democrat Rep. Joyce Beatty, along with the group of protesters, stormed the Hart Senate building on Thursday chanting "End the filibuster." Congresswoman Beatty, who is the head of the Congressional Black Caucus, was arrested by the Capitol Police. Let's check it out here. Look at this sideshow. Beatty was zip-tied by the police. Earlier Thursday, Rep. Beatty says she was protesting to protect voting rights for black women. Wow. This is crazy. When 80% of Americans, 60% of black people said they are for IDing people to vote, which is common sense. The only reason why they want people to not be ID'd is so they can steal votes. As simple as that. Why else would you not want to make sure the person that's voting is the person that they say they are? It is unclear how voting rights for black women is in danger. Quote, this afternoon, 9 people were arrested for demonstrating in a prohibited area on Capitol grounds, the Capitol Police said in a statement to Fox News. At approximately 3:30 p.m., the United States Capitol Police responded to the atrium in the heart of the Senate office building for reports of illegal demonstration activity. After officers arrived on the scene, they warned the demonstrators 3 times to stop. Those who refused were arrested for DC Code 22-1307. 2 males and 7 females were transported to USCP headquarters for processing. How much you want to get? They're not going to get any charges, no trespassing charges, no nothing. All you got to do is have that D next to your name. Alright, let's see. Computer is really slow today for some reason. Let's see. The screen seems to be off a little bit. I'll fix it later. But let's see. Democrat internal poll must be bad. Joe Biden says communism is a failed system. Yeah, it only took him. How long it took him to actually say that? They would not say it. They would not say it at all. But now all of a sudden he said it. I agree. It must be polling. The internal polling must be bad for Democrats. It took nearly a week for Biden White House to condemn communism amid protests in Cuba. Thousands of protesters in Cuba took to the streets on Sunday to protest the communist regime. All week, the Biden White House tiptoed around the subject and refused to mention the word communism until today. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's the reason. Earlier Thursday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki condemned communism, and now Biden is calling it a failed system. Communism is a failed system, a universally failed system, and I don't see socialism as a very useful substitute. Because, most Americans aren't for it.
With respect to Latin America and the developments there in the last week plus,
yes.
What are the circumstances under which you would send American troops to Haiti? That's the first question. The second question is, when it comes to Cuba, what is your current thinking on American sanctions toward Cuba and the embargo? And today your press secretary said that communism is a failed ideology. I assume that's your view. I was wondering if you could also give us your view on socialism. And then for the Chancellor, the question is, Madam, the President said that you know the Oval Office as well as he does. I'm wondering if you could reflect on your exchanges with American presidents.
That's because he don't know where he is most of the time.
Over the last 16 years, and particularly contrast the current president with his most immediate predecessor.
In 2 minutes or less. Obviously, I know why they elected you president. Well, let me start off by answering the question relative to Haiti and Cuba. And communism is a failed system, universally failed system. And I don't see socialism as a very useful substitute, but that's another story.
I'm surprised. I am surprised. But like Gateway Pundit said, it must have been polling showing that most people are against communism and socialism. Let's see. California Democrat-led legislature approves first ever state-funded guaranteed income plan. Guaranteed income. I wonder who are the people that actually get that. Let's see. Democrat-led California state legislature on Thursday approved the first ever state-funded guaranteed income plan. The state lawmakers approved of $35 million for monthly cash payments for pregnant women and young adults who recently left foster care. Wow. There are no restrictions on how the recipients of the taxpayer-funded cash spend it. The Associated Press reported the votes 36-0 in the Senate and 64-0. Wow, unanimous. 64-0 in the Assembly showed bipartisan support for an idea that is gaining momentum across the country. Dozens of local programs have sprung up in recent years, including some that have been privately funded, making it easier for elected officials to sell the public on the idea. Local governments and organizations will apply for the money and run their programs. The State Department of Social Services will decide who gets funding. California lawmakers left it up to local officials to determine the size of the monthly payments, which generally range from $500 to $1,000 in existing programs around the country. Quote, now there is momentum. Things are moving quickly, said Michael Tubbs, an advisor to Governor Gavin Newsom, who was a trailblazer when instituting the guaranteed income program as mayor of Stockton. The next stop is federal government. See, so we were just talking about communism and socialism, and that's exactly what this is. Just handing out people money. Sooner or later, you're gonna run out of other people's money. I mean, this is just crazy. Just a blanket check. Just handing out money like it's nothing. This is crazy. This is how socialism starts right here. And then it gravitates towards communism. Arizona State Senator Kelly Townsend at Senate hearing, quote, it's a come to Jesus moment. I wouldn't want to cooperate either. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. Today, the Arizona Senate held a hearing with audit officials and revealed some bombshell findings, including over 74,000 mail-in ballots that have no evidence they were even mailed to a voter and more. 74,000. 74,000. That is crazy. They really did steal this election. The very revealing hearing showed that computer systems could have been hacked, possibly confirmed Sharpiegate, re-emphasized chain of custody issues, and called for new subpoenas for information withheld by Maricopa County. So they're in on it. Maricopa County is in on it. That's why they're withholding information, because they know what happened. The Gateway pundit's Jordan Conradson spoke with Arizona State Senator Kelly Townsend after the meeting to get her thoughts on the county's utter failure. Conradson, we heard of the failures by Maricopa County and their election department. Missing chain of custody, missing documentation of mail-in ballots, duplicated serial numbers on 3 or more ballots. It's insane. Can you tell us a little bit more? A little about the terrible job done by Maricopa County. Let's see this. And Townsend said, okay, well, it's a come to Jesus moment. They're accusing cyber ninjas of not being credible. And, you know, this information that's going to come out. I'll be very interested to see what their research is. But if they're not credible, then come forward with this information and prove them wrong. But instead, they have done nothing but obstruct, deny, distract, and mock us. So the county supervisors and Adrian Fontes and his team, what we heard today, we learned, and we're not surprised that it was an absolute failure. And it answers the question as to why they're obstructing. If I were them, I wouldn't want the public to know this information we learned today either. Yeah, exactly. So 2 choices: either come forward and help us put all of this to rest, and not on Twitter and not on Facebook or other places, but let's sit down in an actual meeting and work through this like professionals. And if you can't do that, then I'm calling on all of you to resign as county supervisors and to the public, please. Adrian Fontes is running for Secretary of State, and if you see the information that we learned today under his watch, what does that mean for the future of Arizona? So either it wasn't true what we learned today, and you need to come forward and prove us wrong by working with us in a professional way, or resign, one or the other. I mean, they're definitely hiding something. I'm not going to read the rest of that. I'll leave this in the description so y'all can go through and read it for yourself. Well, I'm interested to see what comes out of all of this. I think Maricopa County is definitely hiding something. Because like he said, if y'all got nothing to hide, then why y'all ain't sitting down meeting with these people and proving them wrong? There's more to come. Joven Pulitzer on the Arizona Maricopa County audit. Black Lives Matter Marxists blame U.S. for undermining Cubans' rights to choose their own government. Praise communist leader as they beat and murder their people. Yeah, I mean, Black Lives Matter are Marxists. They told us so. So I mean, what would you expect? They're gonna support other Marxist communist countries. So I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from them. Just the news. Joint Chief Chairman Milley feared Trump would use military to stay in power. Wow. I mean, where'd he get this from? CCP uses big tech and academia to censor, harass his critics worldwide, they say. Of course. A teenager is the first paying customer on Bezos-backed spaceship. What? Ron Kine allegedly rented property to misuse suspected of ties to human trafficking. Report. Pompeo. Less blaming U.S. embargo for Cuba woes under communism is a lie. Yeah, I mean everyone sees that. That's why Biden had to come out and basically condemn communism and socialism, because everyone knows that's a lie. Biden administration created operation to save Afghans translators in troop withdrawal. German court fines YouTube more than $100,000 for removing anti-lockdown protest video last year. Awesome. About time someone finally stand up to YouTube. Let's see. The court ruled that YouTube, a subsidiary of Google, had not clearly spelled out its misinformation enforcement policy. A court in Germany has ordered YouTube to pay a $118,000 fine. But, I mean, that's really nothing for them, but still, it's more than what any other country is doing right now. $118,000 fine for removing a video of an anti-lockdown protest filmed in Switzerland last year. YouTube says the video violated its misinformation policies pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm going to have to save this article because I can see myself referencing this again. But Joachim Steinhoffel, I'm sure I killed that person's name, I'm sorry, an attorney to the plaintiff, wrote the decision, quote, with the historically high fine. That's historically high, 118,000. Anyway, with the historically high fine, the higher regional court makes it very clear that court decisions must be observed without restriction, regardless of whether YouTube assumes a violation of its guidelines or not. YouTube removed close to 17 million videos during the first half of 2020. That's just crazy. Many of which violated the company's misinformation policy. The company claimed its automated systems were over-enforcing the rules due to understaffing. They are full of crap. They can make these computers, they can make these algorithms do whatever they want. It's not over-enforcing. You made it enforce it the way it's enforcing it. These people are liars. In the United States, the First Amendment, by and large, protects companies that censor its users. However, German laws opt for a stronger stance on the issue, and in this case, the court ruled that YouTube failed to clearly spell out its enforcement policy. A spokesman for the company told a German newspaper, quote, "We have the responsibility to connect our users with trustworthy information and to combat misinformation during COVID-19. This is the decision on a case-by-case basis that we respect and will review accordingly." I mean, the way they censor is just crazy. I mean, they censoring people's opinions and labeling people's opinions as misinformation. These people are terrible. You got to be toting the party line or you're going to get censored. Well, I refuse to tote the party line. Let's see, we're still on Zero Hedge. Biden administration created, oh yeah, I read this one already. All right, let's check out Zero Hedge. Chinese Communist Party officials shared viral video urging nuclear strikes on Japan. World Health Organization to correct errors in a report on early COVID cases in Wuhan. Won't release underlying data. Of course not. Like I said before, they're bought and paid for by China. China owns the World Health Organization. All right, let's see. The World Health Organization is fixing several unintended errors contained in the joint report with China on the origin of COVID-19 and will look into the potential discrepancies, according to the Washington Post, which apparently triggered the review with several questions. It said, in response to questions, the Washington Post, the World Health Organization is changing the virus sequence IDs associated with 3 of the 13 earlier patients listed in the chart in the report and will clarify that the first family cluster was not linked to the Hunan seafood market in Wuhan, the spokesperson said. Well, everyone knows that by now. Everyone already knows that it did not start in the seafood market. Everyone knows that. I said it from the very beginning. From the claims from the reports that I was getting early on. I've been said it back in, I think it was February 2020. The World Health Organization did not explain why a map in the annexes of the World Health Organization China joint report appeared to show the first case on one side of the Yangtze River, while the Wuhan government had announced last year that the first patient who fell ill December 8, 2019, lived on the other side of the river in Wuchang district. According to the World Health Organization spokesman Tariq Jasovic, the discrepancy over where the first known patient lived relative to the Yangtze River is irrelevant to the lab leak hypothesis because, quote, the current first known patient is most probably not the first case. That's true. Jazovic added that the mistakes in the report were due to editing errors, but had no impact on the data analysis process nor the conclusions. As the Post notes, quote, it is not yet clear whether or how clarity on these points could help researchers understand what happened in Wuhan, but the need to correct the data months after publication in the second year of the pandemic may renew questions about the slow and complicated search for the origins of the coronavirus. Y'all know where it started at. They playing games. Y'all know where it started at. It started in the lab. Quote, we need more explanation about what the source of the error and the information was, said Lawrence Gostin, a professor of global health law at Georgetown University, who also provides technical assistance to the World Health Organization. Who made the errors? Was it China? Was it the team? Was it the World Health Organization itself? Gostin continued. There's no. It was definitely China that made the error, but I mean, they probably got someone in the World Health Organization to fudge it. There's no clarity, and this does feed into public distrust of the integrity and rigor of the origins of the investigation. No one trusts the World Health Organization. More on the error. The Washington Post reported last week on inconsistencies in the profile of the earliest official patient as outlined in the joint report. In response to queries from the Post, the World Health Organization reviewed the cases and decided to update the document. The agency confirmed the earliest official patient, S01, was a 41-year-old man with virus genome sequence, and they named the sequence, in various databases. The report had listed a different sequence belonging to a 61-year-old man, which Jazovic, whatever, however you say his name, called an editing error. Jazovic said the World Health Organization is still looking into why the official China National Genomics Data Center, the NGDC, database says patient S01 began to exhibit symptoms in December 16, 2019, a week later than the December 8th onset recorded in the World Health Organization. There's so many discrepancies in this. So many discrepancies. Of course, the correction also set the stage for China to announce that the earliest known case could be someone different. Seattle-based computational biologist Jesse Bloom of the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center says the World Health Organization should release more of the data underpinning the joint report conclusions in order to allow third-party scientists to analyze the results. They won't release that stuff because they know real scientists that want that and I call them real scientists because they won't hide the information, but they don't want real scientists to look at the World Health Organization data so they can poke holes through all their conclusions that they know is false, that I know is false. Quote, certainly analysis of the earliest cases is a key aspect of the report, said Bloom, adding, therefore, it will be helpful for as much as possible of the underlying data to be made publicly available. And I'm going to save this article too because I'll probably reference it again. But, I mean, Trump stopped funding of the World Health Organization because of crap like this, and then what did Biden do as soon as he get in? He talked about start releasing funds back to the World Health Organization. Let's see. This is deliberate sabotage. South Africa insider warns this terrorism has been coming for a long time. U.S. Air Force plane makes unannounced landing in Taiwan, outraging Beijing. Several Colombians arrested in Haiti assassination receive U.S. military training. That's the Pentagon. How come all these people that do stuff like this always tend to be receiving training on military bases, like Bin Laden and people of his ilk? They all receive training from the U.S. Think that's a coincidence? Let's see. All right. Several Colombians arrested in Haiti. Assassination received U.S. military training. Pentagon. Quote, a review of our training database indicates that a small number of the Colombian individuals detained as part of this investigation have participated in past U.S. military training and education programs. while serving as active members of the Colombian military forces, said Pentagon spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Ken Hoffman in a statement to the Washington Post, without elaborating on how many of them received training or exactly what it entailed. And the reason why he's telling us this is because he knew internet sleuths is going to end up finding this out anyway. Stuff like this is public information, so they know internet sleuths would end up finding that out. So to try to get ahead of this, they went ahead and leaked. The Pentagon went ahead and leaked this information. The same thing with what BuzzFeed reported on with the guys that try to take Whitmore. They try to 12 of the 17 were FBI informants. 12 of the 17 people that was working together to kidnap Whitmore was working for the FBI. The whole thing was fake. The whole thing was staged by the FBI. And I think that's similar to this, even though, the Haiti assassination thing is someone actually died from it. I don't think it was staged or anything like that, but it seems like our government is always training or having informants or something to do with it with stuff like this. It seems like it's constantly happening. But Democrat Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont is more or less an official oops, chalk it up to a grim reminder that U.S. assistance to other countries can take unexpected turns. What? That's what he says? Oops. Wow. This illustrates that while we want our training of foreign armies to build professionalism and respect for human rights, the training is only as good as the institution itself, he said, adding that the Colombian Army, which we have supported for 20 years, has a long history of targeting civilians, violating the laws of war, and not being accountable. There has been a cultural problem within the institution. Colombia officials have said that 13 of the 15 Colombian suspects in July 7th assassination plot once served in the country's military, including the two killed by Haitian authorities after Moise was fatally shot inside his home. It is common for Colombian troops and other security personnel across Latin America to receive U.S. training and education. Colombia in particular has been a significant U.S. military partner for decades, receiving billions of U.S. dollars since 2000 in its effort to battle drug trafficking organizations, leftist guerrillas, and far-right paramilitary groups. The effort has included CIA-backed missions and a close relationship between Colombian military personnel and the Green Berets, who help train their elite counterparts in guerrilla warfare and blah, 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 blah. That's all from the Washington Post. What's more, the United States has provided weapons and equipment to Colombian military and police, which came under fire earlier this year after police killed multiple protesters during demonstrations. So we're training these killers and stuff. It doesn't surprise me, like I said, one bit, because whenever stuff like this turn up, they always end up being trained by the U.S. government. This military-industrial complex right there at work. Let's see. Expected a market slowdown in retail sales. Sick of Westy whites, blatant anti-white, anti-Asian racism in schools. Let's check this one out. All right. Fake social justice warriors just got caught lying to a judge. What? Parents versus new racism. Let me enlarge this a little bit. There we go. So I can see it a little bit better because I'm live. It says, the author says, I have discussed reverse racism several times previously, but this new case tops everything that preceded it. Federal Judge William Young approved a temporary new admissions plan for 3 elite Boston public schools. It is Boston. The new plan substitutes grades and zip codes for competitive entrance exams. Such a plan is, of course, racist in and of itself. Thus, the judge erred. Boston administrators hid some key items from the judge, and today he reversed his decision. Please consider parents versus the new racism emphasis on mine. On Friday, federal judge William Young withdrew an early opinion approving a temporary new admissions plan for 3 elite Boston schools. Judge Young said he took this extraordinary step, the first in his 36-year judicial career, because the school system's attorney had misled him by excluding from the court racially charged text messages sent by 2 Boston school committee members involved in the admissions decision. The texts were sent during the virtual meeting when the admissions changes were approved, and they suggested there was racial animus behind the decision. Committee member Laura Rivera, for example, sent a message to fellow member Alexandria Oliver de Villa saying she was sick of Westy whites. These people are racist as hell. Quote, "Me too," Miss Olivia Davia replied. I really feel like saying that. Committee chairman Michael Lecanto mocked the Asian names of some of those who commented. Wow. Judge Young makes clear he may not change his ultimate conclusion. He has also suggested that withholding these texts from the court record is potentially fraud on the court. Fraud and racism. This is not potential fraud. It is blatant fraud and blatant racism by the Boston School Board. So they commit fraud to the court, and I bet you no one's going to go to jail for it or anything. It'll be a slap on the wrist. And this is happening in all of the progressive hotbeds, especially California. Critical race theory and the big lie behind it. These attitudes and solutions are part of the critical race theory and the big lie behind it. What is critical race theory? The Encyclopedia Britannica is saying CRT. Critical race theory, or CRT, intellectual movement and loosely organized framework of legal analysis based on the premise that race is not a natural, biologically grounded feature of physically distinct subgroups of human beings, but a socially constructed, culturally invented category that is used to oppress and exploit people of color. Wow. Critical race theorists hold that the law and legal institutions in the United States are inherently racist insofar as they function to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequalities between whites and non-whites, especially African Americans. One would have to be nuts to believe CRT theory should be taught in school, in grade school. Unfortunately, that's where we are, and embraced by the Biden administration and the left agenda. You know, and I've done many videos on critical race theory and how terrible it is, how evil it is. I was basically teaching people that they belong to one of 2 groups. Either you oppressed or you're the oppressor. And this is all based on your skin color. Not on your character, not on, anything else, on your skin color. Let's see. I think that's it for Zero Hedge. Let's check out the Daily Caller. Vietnam War veteran beaten, attacked in attempted carjacking, dies of heart attack. That's a shame. That is a shame. Howley calls out big tech for acting like arms of government. When they're monopolies, that's a big problem. I mean, everyone's been calling out the media, the social media, but I'm very pessimistic. I don't think anything's gonna happen. They're gonna keep running it like they're running it, and nothing is gonna happen. Because we don't have anyone in government that's willing to step up and do anything about it. They admonish them, they go on, they talk to them, they talk big and all this other stuff, but they don't do nothing about anything. Republican Missouri Senator Josh Hawley called out big tech companies for acting like arms of government during a Thursday interview with Fox News host Brett Baer. During a Thursday press briefing, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that the White House would help Facebook combat misinformation on its platform by flagging posts for the social media company. Hawley, who has been one of the leaders in the fight against big tech censorship, called the White House's commitment scary. Quote, I think it's really scary to have the federal government of the United States, the White House, compile a list of people, organizations, whatever, and go into private companies that, by the way, is a monopoly. Facebook, and saying they need to censor. The senator said, how long is this one?
Benjamin Hall in London. Benjamin, thank you. Let's now bring in Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley. Senator, thanks for joining us. I want to start with this disinformation campaign, if you will, looking at Facebook posts that the administration believes are spreading disinformation about the coronavirus vaccine and telling Facebook about them. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's scary, Brett. I think it's really scary to have the federal government of the United States, the White House, compiling lists of people, organizations, whatever, and then going to a private company that, by the way, is a monopoly, Facebook. And
yeah, I mean, but like I said, I don't think anything is going to happen of this. I don't think they're going to put forth any legislation to stop these tech companies from the technocracy from what they're doing. I think they're going to get more and more power, more and more influence, and with that and more control they're going to be wanting and grabbing is what I think is going to happen. Because like I said, we don't really have anyone in government that's really willing to fight. They talk big, Howley is talking big, but I don't see anything being done. And this is Trump included. But Trump had a chance to do something when he was in office 4 years ago, when he was going through all those attacks, and he did nothing about the censorship that the social media giants put even on him.
And saying you need to censor, you need to do something about this. You need to tell these users, these private users on a private company, what they can or cannot say. I mean, I just think that this kind of coordination between big government and the big monopoly corporation, boy, that is scary stuff, and it really is censorship, Brett.
It's corporatocracy. These social media giants is really, who's running who? These social media giants is really running the government.
Does it change, you've been fighting this fight on big tech, a number of different fronts. Does it change the perspective there on what they've said as private companies in defending some of their actions?
Well, at this point, you really have to wonder how private of companies they are. I mean, if you're taking direction from the federal government, openly coordinating with the federal government, you've got the government saying, we think that this speech ought to be censored in big tech. If they carry out those instructions, I mean, that looks like they're starting to operate as a public utility, and there are many people out.
Yeah, it is. If they're working for only one party, isn't that not a in-kind donation, pretty much, by doing what they're telling them to do like that? Isn't that an in-kind donation?
Out there who say we ought to just treat them as public utilities. We ought to just regulate these private companies as such. My view is we ought to break them up and restore competition. But I have to tell you, Brett, their status as independent private companies looks more and more endangered here. They're acting like arms of the government. And when they're monopolies, that's a big problem.
It's fascism. That is fascism or corporatocracy.
All right, so the administration says...
Oh, that's it for that. Yeah, it's... I'm very pessimistic when it comes to social media. I don't think anything's going to happen to them at all. Let's see. Daily Caller. Amid push to crack down on disinformation, World Health Organization revises COVID report. Vietnam War veteran beaten. We went over that. Richard Sherman allegedly threatened to fight police to the death. Was maced by family members. What is going on with Richard Sherman? LA County brings back indoor mask mandate. We went over that. Fact check, the Haitian president, Jonathan Moise, say he would expose the Clinton Foundation the day before the assassination. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that. Y'all know I be on the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons and stuff, and I didn't hear anything close to that allegation. Let's see. The Hill. Top health experts say Delta variant will surge in the U.S. for months. Yeah, right. 16 members of A Florida white supremacist group indicted on kidnapping, assault charges. Black Caucus chair arrested. We went over that. Trump to Pence on January 6th. You don't have the courage. Let's see. Trouble. IRS funding snags bipartisan infrastructure deal. Tucker Carlson dismisses GOP as inept and bad at governing. And I totally agree. And when it comes to Congress, I totally agree. The governors are doing a great job. I think some of the governors are doing a great job.
Fox News host.
Let's see. Fox News host Tucker Carlson blasted the Republican Party in a new interview published this week, calling the GOP inept and lacking the ability to govern. First of all, they're inept and bad at governing, Carlson told Time magazine. The party is much more effective as a oppositional force than as a governing party. Carlson said that the GOP lacked a substantial policy platform in the run-up to 2020. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Elections have suggested that this led to a loss of control of the federal government. Quote, what's the point of having a convention or a political party more broadly if you can't be bothered to define what it is you stand for? I found that contemptible, he said. Carlson, the highest rated host on cable television and one of the most influential voices on the American right, separately dismissed rumors that that have circulated in recent months suggesting he might run for president. Quote, that seems like the unhappiest job you could have, Carlson said. I just don't have any ambitions like that. I have zero interest in being loved by people I don't know. Since this program began in 2016, Carlson has sparked a widespread condemnation of comments on a number of issues ranging from integrity of the 2020 election to immigration, transgender rights, and race relations. He told Time that he wants to see a far less race-conscious America. I mean, because that's exactly what Martin Luther King was talking about, not seeing race. And that's exactly what the left is pushing, is people race. Quote, I want a far less race-conscious America, he told Time. The never-ending attacks on the ending attacks on, quote, white supremacists, white nationalists, white this, white that. What effect is that going to have? I don't want to live in a country where your race is the most important thing about you. That is a dead end. It never ends well, he said. Quote, if he got up there and said, the problem is the blacks or the Asians or the Jews, we'd be like, what? We'd be like, what? No, that's true. You can't talk that way. That's horrible. That's true. What effect is this going to have on people, he said, according to the Time. Quote, you think there won't be a backlash to that? You think there isn't making people radical in bad ways? Oh, yes, it is. And that's exactly what they want. They want to make people radical so they can point them out and say, see, look at these white supremacists over here, or look at these far-right people over here. So that's why they're trying to push people to that. My sinuses. Woo. All right, let's see. We're still on the Daily Caller. The Hill. We're on the Hill. Trump to Pence. We went over that. IRS. Tucker Carlson, first grade teacher, disputes his description of her in book. All right. Let's see. Washington Examiner. It's the communism, stupid. Biden White House finally identified Cuba's true problem. Let's see. White House rejects Bush criticism of Afghanistan withdrawal. After days of protests, White House slams Cuba failed communist. We talked about that. White House maintains that Biden's $4.5 trillion infrastructure bill won't cause inflation to jump. They are lying. How can you spend $4.5 trillion that we don't have as a country and don't expect any inflation? I can't believe they made that statement. Like, it's not going to affect anything? right, let's see. All right, stop this. All right, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters Thursday that the White House is vigilant in monitoring inflation signals, but maintained that President Joe Biden's infrastructure proposals will help reduce rising prices. No, it will not. It'll make it even worse, and they know this, and they're doing it by design. This is what they want: problem, reaction, solution. They need to destroy the economy so they can build the socialist utopia that they're trying to build. Let's see. Why won't this go away here? This is blocking. There's no way. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. So I can't even read this because this is in the way. Let me restart this really quick. Hopefully it stays out the way, and it's not. I can't get rid of this. Let me just play the video. No, it's a whole 2 hours. Darn it. White House spokesman claimed that the way to keep... Oh, it's actually not in the way. Okay, all right. She said, I want to be clear, she added. We understand the threat that input inflation poses. We will be vigilant as responses are needed or needed as it relates to legislation we're continuing to advocate for. The top White House spokesman claimed that, quote, the way to keep prices in our economy down is to increase the supply of goods that consumers want to buy and to keep the cost of producing and getting them to the market. She's either lying or she's ill-informed. Quote, that's exactly what the President Bipartisan Infrastructure Framework and the Build Back Better plan will do, Psaki continued. It will also, as we work to pass the Build Back Better reconciliation package, increase the availability of child care, more workers will enter the workforce, increasing our output and helping to keep prices down. So we are quite mindful of it. Inflation is going to happen, especially, I mean, if they pass this $4.5 trillion bill, it's gonna ruin the economy. I can't even put into words how bad it's gonna be. It's gonna be worse than the 2008 crisis if they pass this 4.5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion infrastructure bill. I mean, people not realize how much that really is. You not realize how much 4 trillion really is. Let's see. After days of protest, White House slammed Cuba. Went over that. Democrats curb spending appetite and bid to win key centrists. White House quietly signals inflationary run could last years. See, now they're talking out the side of their mouth. First they said there's not going to be any inflation with this, and now they're saying it could last for years. See, this is what I'm saying. America's choice: build bridges or grow government. Let's see. Quote, I don't care. Frank Luntz, unfazed by criticism for helping Biden fight virus. Some Virginia mental health institutions halting new patients amid staffing shortage. And I you know, I'm a therapist, so I know all about these staffing shortages. It's all across the country. Let's see. New York Times tries to keep collusion possibility alive with lawsuit for alternative Mueller report. Are they for real? Are they for real doing an alternative Mueller report? This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm not even gonna click on that because I'm sure it'll just enrage me of the ignorance of the whole thing. Louisiana's Kennedy files bill targeting social media companies that promote divisive content. Okay, whatever that means. New legislation expands dental services in Illinois schools. North Carolina city considers banning critical race theory in schools. GOP wants answers on missing and wiped Moeller team phones. They wiped the phones. That is, I mean, how do they be getting away with this stuff? Hillary wiped the emails and she smashed the hard drives and bleach bit it, or whatever it was called, bleach bit. I mean, this is, you can't, that is totally illegal. How do they get away with doing this stuff? All right, let's see. 2 Republican senators are pressing for answers about apparently missing phones belonging to Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Trump-Russia investigation team that the Justice Department cannot locate per its watchdog. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa and Ron Johnson, those are 2 good senators. Two good senators. Wisconsin told Attorney General Merrick Garland they are asking the Justice Department for more information and records after learning that the DOJ could not locate 59 of the 96 phones used by Mueller team, and after discovering that the department failed to review over 20 phones for federal record preservation. They are dirty. They are dirty. DOJ Inspector General, and I bet you no one's going to get in trouble for this. DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz wrote to Johnson and Grassley in May, noting in a letter obtained by the Washington Examiner that the DOJ's Justice Management Division took possession of 79 of 96 Mueller team phones in a property transfer from the Special Counsel's office in June 2019. A DOJ iPhone record review spreadsheet documented that only approximately 74 of the phones were reviewed for records. Horowitz said that records such as notes and text messages were sent to the DOJ or FBI email system for preservation. Horowitz detailed the location of some of the phones, including devices belonging to former FBI lawyer Lisa Page. We talked about her, and Peter Strzok, FBI agent Peter Strzok. Talked about both of them, several videos, which remain secured in a safe at the DOJ. But the Inspector General said the DOJ JMD currently does not know the whereabouts of 59 of the 96 team phones. They probably smashed it with hammers like Hillary Clinton did with her hard drives. The senators told Garland they are, quote, seeking further clarity on what steps the department has taken to recover the missing phones and the underlying records. You're never going to find them phones. Johnson had previously asked Horowitz to open an investigation into the revelations that numerous members of the Mueller team apparently wiped or otherwise deleted data from their government-issued phones, and that their reports are troubling and raise concerns about record retentions and transparency. I mean, this is a common theme with these dirty people that work in the government. They delete all that information when it's supposed to be retained, and they know it is, and they know what they're doing is illegal, and nothing happens to them. GOP wants biased DOJ official to recuse him from the Durham investigation. This is a whole different thing. The senators are now asking Garland to provide them with the SCO inventory and property transfer documentation and any related records in possession of the JMD. The name of all SCO employees whose cell phones were not reviewed by JMD for records, all records on the number of texts sent and received on the 74 special counsel phones that were reviewed, answers on what actions the JMD had taken to recover the 59 Mueller team phones that haven't been located, and answers on whether or not the DOJ has reviewed the SCO cell phones to determine whether they were used to leak sensitive or classified information. The senators asked for these responses before the end of July. All right, that's all I'm going to read of that one. But would you expect anything less from these dirty people? The same people that lied for years of Russian collusion. And now you got the New York Times coming out with alternative Mueller. What are they talking about? They don't have the resources that Mueller and them had. They spent millions upon millions of dollars and found absolutely nothing. So tell me what they can find. let's see. Missouri officials. Yeah, Missouri officials pledge collaboration with panel in effort to defund Planned Parenthood. I like that. 70,000 Illinoisans seek emergency rental payments. All right, the Daily Wire. Hope the D tastes good, B. DoorDash driver violates food meant for an NYPD cop. Oh, that is horrible. Oh, man, that is horrible. Oh, man. Police make arrests over online racist abuse aimed at England's black soccer players. California legislature unanimously passes nation's first state-funded guaranteed income plan. We talked about that. Let's see. Take a smoke. Fed chair says his mind is open on digital dollar. No, not a digital dollar. Everyone trying to get in the crypto game. They are really trying to take down Bitcoin. And I don't think it's going to work. During the testimony before Congress this week, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell stated that his mind is open about the adoption of a digital dollar. Across the globe, central bankers are considering central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, as an alternative other digital asset, such as cryptocurrencies, which are virtual coins kept anonymously and protected from counterfeiting via encryption, and stable coins, which are cryptocurrencies that attempt to peg themselves to another asset such as gold or dollar. Nations such as China, Ecuador, Thailand, and Saudi Arabia have discouraged the use of cryptocurrency because they want the control of the money. That's why. While creating their own CBDCs, although the Fed planned to issue a report about potential digital dollar this month, Powell said that the central bank's findings will be delayed until early September. I wonder why that is. Most CBDCs mimic cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, through their use of blockchain technology with the added benefits of stability and widespread acceptance. However, users of CBDCs would potentially lose the benefit of the decentralization and anonymity, I can never say that word, offered by conventional cryptocurrencies. Lawmakers, including Senator Pat Toomey, questioned Powell on his current attitude toward the digital dollar. Quote, during your testimony yesterday, I sense what might be a change in your tone about the virtues of a central bank digital currency being issued by the Fed, said Toomey. One of the things you said yesterday is that one of the stronger arguments in favor of CBDC is that you wouldn't need stable coins, you wouldn't need cryptocurrencies if you had a digital U.S. currency. Quote, of course, isn't the reversal also true, asked Toomey. If you had stablecoin cryptocurrency in use, then then maybe there would be a need for a central bank digital currency. It is still not clear to me what a central bank digital currency will solve, and I wonder if there are problems that only a central bank digital currency can solve. Why would I don't understand why would a central bank need digital currency for? I really don't. I'm trying to understand why would they even need that? We already have Bitcoin and stuff like that. I think because they want the control of it and they don't have control over Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, so that's why they want to create their own. But I mean, I don't know. And the reason why people got into cryptocurrencies is so they don't have to rely on the central banks. So even if they do create it, I don't think it's going to be it would never be as big as Bitcoin, I don't think. Because it would be devalued and stuff like the regular dollar, especially if it's tied to the dollar. All right, let's see. We'll do one more. Let's check out PJ Media really quick, because there's only a few here. FBI arrests Capitol insurrectionist who dressed as a Roman gladiator. Booksellers Association promised to do penance for promoting violent anti-trans books, or whatever that means. As a survivor of Castro's totalitarian regime, freedom for me is personal. Most people that escape these countries like that are throwing warning signals out to us here in the U.S. But all the stuff that we're using, especially the leftists using, all the tactics, our leftist tactics, our socialist, our communist tactics, and these people coming over fleeing from Cuba and Venezuela and places like that are trying to warn us about these deceitful things that they're doing. But I think it's falling on deaf ears. Let's see. Woke 2.0 NFL to sing Black National Anthem during 2021 season. I really don't have a problem with that. As someone that knows the Black National Anthem, I learned it when I was like in elementary school. Very proud of that song. I love that song. I really honestly don't have a problem with them singing the Black National Anthem at the NFL game. Why we can't do both? I have no issue with that. Major League Baseball response to Cuban revolution, not very woke. Inflation mean biggest social security benefit increase in decades next year. I can see that happening. Black Lives Matter. Tell that to the Democrats who are getting black people killed. That's true in the terrible cities that they run in. But I think that's all for today. Y'all click that like button, that thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? Like, share, like I said, that like button, share and subscribe. Please subscribe. Let's get those subscriptions up. Check out DEMOCREPUBLIX.com for the latest in news. Until next time.